Hello and welcome. I'm Mindy Ferguson. I lead the technology team supporting Capital One's decisioning platform and our U.S. card segments. I am so pleased today to be able to be joined by Laura Gomez, startup founder, philanthropist, and champion of diversity, inclusion, and belonging, for what I hope you will find to be an engaging conversation about fostering a culture of DIB in tech. Currently, Laura is the founder and executive director of Proyecto Solas, a nonprofit focused on safe space and mental wellness for Latinx people in the United States. She's also the head of partnerships for Delphina, a health tech startup focused on building the world's first AI-powered platform focused on pregnancy care. Throughout her career, Laura has used her passion for data-driven initiatives to enable leaders to understand the business benefits of machine learning and diversity. With all of that, let me say, welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much, Mindy. Thank you for having me. And thank you to Capital One for holding this discussion on something that I'm so passionate about and I've dedicated my whole professional career to.
Well, your work and the impact that you're making has been just truly incredible. Before we kick off our conversation, though, today, Laura, I want to have a little bit of an icebreaker and let viewers have a chance to learn more about who you are. So if you're up for it, here go a few rapid fire questions. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right. Favorite food?
Tacos.
All right. Mine is potatoes. I love potatoes in all manners, fried, baked, and now I'm really thinking about them in tacos, and that sounds amazing. What kind of podcasts are you listening to these days?
I listen to two podcasts. One on the personal side is called Tamarindo Podcast. It's led by two Latina women. And on the second is more about professional and just personal wellness as it relates to Stoicism. It's called The Daily Stoic, and how to really tackle a lot of the challenges that we have in everyday life, especially focus, stress, etc.
That is fantastic. Mine is How I Built This with Guy Raz, and I'm just really enjoying that these days. What do you like to do at the end of the day?
I love to cook. I find it very therapeutic to cook for myself, for others, and one day for you, I'll make tacos dorados with potato filling.
That sounds amazing. I love to spend time with my pets, with my family. I just really enjoy relaxing. What's the one piece of technology you can't live without?
The headphones. Music to me is so important. So definitely headphones.
That's fantastic. For me, it's my iPhone, probably for the same reason. So I would agree with you on that. And what's your most admired business leader?
Serena Williams. Not only is she such an amazing athlete, she's a venture capitalist. She has her own firm. She just raised her second fund, and she's also dabbled now into producing films like she did this past weekend about her life with her sister. So she's just going at it. Oh, and she's an amazing mother.
Fabulous. I can't disagree at all with Serena Williams. I would choose Taylor Swift, and I just really love Taylor Swift because she is unapologetically herself and really holds true to what is right for her and her career. And I really just admire that. All right, are you ready to get into it now?
Let's do it.
All right, fantastic. Looking back on your journey, can you tell me a little bit about how you've helped organizations shift their thinking around diversity and inclusion, and what roadblocks have you encountered?
Definitely. I believe that in general, people have now seen and held themselves accountable to what diversity and inclusion can mean to them, to their companies, their workplaces, their teams. And it's not only within recruiting, but outside, all of the different behaviors and the ecosystems one can create to really tackle how to create a truly inclusive workplace. People say that diversity is being asked to go to the dance and inclusion is being asked to actually dance. And I feel like inclusion is actually the option to want to dance, to try to do different things at the event, but to go above and beyond and thinking about that experience when you're there. So even diversity and inclusion can go after someone leaves a workplace to think about, I felt really included at my last workplace. So I definitely think it's a whole ecosystem, a whole cycle of how people enter, leave, and stay in the workforce.
I love what you just said about being asked to dance for inclusion. And, someone told me recently that belonging is being allowed to dance any way you want. And I really loved that because I think that that really is what it means to truly belong. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing organizations who are looking to start their focus on DIB efforts?
Looking at it through one lens or through one of the behaviors that can control. So we go back to Stoicism. It's like it allows you to say you cannot control aspects of life and how to really deal and react to those emotions and those frustrations. And I believe that employers are looking at what they can control, which is the panels, the diversity, what budget do they have, but they're not really looking at how the market is. They're not looking at the behaviors of the workforce right now out interviewing. There was a great resignation that happened a couple months ago. And looking at the behaviors of industries, there's certain times that some industries or some fields are very limited in the availability of that experience. And they come back and they're like, why aren't we getting this type of candidate? It might be that during that time, that behavior is, and those surpluses are not there. So to looking at it a holistic way, rather than just on the thing that they can control, which is their company, but to look at what outside they cannot control, but they can at least influence. Where they're at, where the job seekers are at, where those experiences are at, and if they're not out there, what are transferable skills?
I so agree with that. I think, one of the things that I've noticed a great deal is that sometimes in this crunch for great talent, we've taken our eye off of being really intentional about the kind of talent that we want in our organization. And we're really just kind of caught up and focused on filling the seat. And I think it's just one of the things we're going to have to continue to be incredibly conscious as we move forward. I do think there's an opportunity for us as we go through the Great Resignation, as we go through this incredible tech talent crunch, to help leaders understand the value of diversity and how to bring that diversity into their organization even better. What do you think that organizations can do to attract and retain employees from underrepresented groups?
To seek opportunities and to look outside. A lot of people think that recruiting in tech companies or even tech-focused companies like Capital One requires to have a certain major or experience, and yet there's so many roles out there that are so diverse throughout a whole company. So I definitely think about looking at the mobility that they can have once they are in these companies, or looking at how they can grow mentorships internally. Employee resource groups are a great way to attract talent, but how exactly are they growing with their other colleagues internally? So I definitely do believe that underrepresented candidates want and aspire, and they have the same goals as other candidates, but they really just want to feel seen and heard once they're part of those teams. And so how to bring them on board and keep that sense of belonging and wanting to dance any way they want to while they're internally, and have the support of mentors, sponsors, and just overall just a community within the organization.
The last 2 years have been really unprecedented. And when I think about your own career, you've used this time to recently focus and move from talent acquisition to the healthcare industry. And I like how you really start to think about what is the next problem. I just love that about your career. Similarly, I find myself constantly looking ahead to the same, what's the next big thing? In your opinion, what should we be thinking about as tech leaders? And more specifically, for tech leaders with a focus on DIB, where should our attention be?
Definitely, and this is the intersection at especially people that are focused in DIB, and everything that they're trying to work for is burnout. And it's at the intersection of health, right? Like it is, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. Your body is going to keep score on all of the burdens, challenges of not only the everyday work that people are doing, but wanting to create a more inclusive environment. And burnout, it is the one thing that I tell people. Founders will have burnouts like I did when I was at Atipica, it will manifest itself through different ways. And I think it is the one thing that leaders need to think about and the World Health Organization actually labeled it as a global disease. And this is before we were through a pandemic. So how are we coping with the burnout of life, of work, of other responsibilities? And I think that will be a way to think about all types of employees, those that are able right now, those that may experience disability, those that are already come with and are living with disabilities. And I think this applies to everyone, from someone that just graduated college to everyone that has been in the workforce for decades. I think it's for us to look at burnout and how we're going to handle that among the organizations that we lead, and as well as the team members that need a way to think about how to manage that.
I think your answer is so on the money for like what I'm hearing from my own associates. Burnout is real, and burnout has really increased as we've gone through some uncertain times. And candidly, I think the future is still a bit uncertain for all of us as to how we navigate that. You know, anytime I find myself sitting down with another woman in tech, first of all, I get really excited about it because I feel like we have this, opportunity to really talk about diversity, inclusion, belonging, and women in tech. Why is that personally important to you?
I grew up not seeing myself in the teams that I was part of, not hearing myself, but overall not seeing other people that identified like myself. And so now that the world has transitioned, and I think about my nieces, I think about other young women that I mentor, and how important for them to see themselves and see others that look like themselves, or friends that they have, or like how the world that they consume. So I definitely think that it's one of those goals. I know that the other Women for Project Include that I am also a part of, we say that our work will be finished when we are redundant, when we have no other goals, and that organization is going to cease to exist. Our work has been done, because then we don't need a Project Include, because everyone will feel included.
That's so great. And what a great world that will be, right? Yeah. When everybody feels included. What advice would you give to women as they're thinking about their career, trying to navigate and grow their careers today? What can women do to increase that sphere of influence that they have?
I think it's the transparency and what's non-negotiable to those women. There are certain things that can be negotiable throughout life, throughout careers, and what are those things that inherently are not? And I believe that there'll be opportunities that there may be negotiated, and there's other opportunities that certainly aren't. And that influence and letting others know, hey, here's exactly what I'm looking for. Here are the things that I want in my next opportunity, and to be clear about it. And it might seem like, oh my God, that's such a small set and it restricts people, but it also allows to understand what exactly will fulfill someone once they start a new endeavor, they have a new opportunity, or they want to take their career to the next level within the organization that they've already been part of. So I definitely think the influence is being true to their convictions and what is not negotiable, but being open to the opportunities of what growth means to them.
Well, thank you very much. Laura, it has been fantastic to spend time with you today and to hear about your incredible journey. You truly are making the world a better place every single day. And for me, it was incredible to be able to spend some time with you and just to get advice from you and learn more about you. So I've enjoyed this journey. Thank you so much. For those of you who are watching today, Capital One is hiring, and we're hiring across a number of fields. We're looking for folks in cloud engineering, data engineering, machine learning, cybersecurity, and so much more. Our engineers work on innovative, challenging projects that serve millions of customers, and in a way that's never been done before in the banking industry. So if you want to find your spot on the team, come take a look at all of our jobs. They're listed at www.capital1careers.com.